Welcome back to the Charlie Star podcast, where we dive into all things meta, witchy, new age, astrological, alternative, and spiritual. So today we are here to chat with you guys about a favorite topic of mine and my clients always, which is past lives. And we have with us today Nyanda, vocalist, starseed, death worker, and psychic tarot reader. Nyanda, welcome back.
Hey.
Hey, thanks for joining for the second episode of the Charlie Star podcast.
Most definitely. I'm hella excited.
I guess we just love you so much that we got to have you back right away.
Don't make me have feelings.
We started talking about past lives on our last episode. So if you guys haven't listened to our last episode, it was mostly about astral travel, and it was also touched a little bit about being a starseed. So if you guys haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that. But we started talking about past lives, and it's a juicy enough topic that it deserves its own episode. So honestly, my first experience with past lives had nothing to do with astrology. It was way before I got into astrology. I started having past life flashbacks. What about you, Nyanda? How did you get started learning about your own past lives?
Okay, so I would have never associated it with past lives until you said something just now, but I definitely was having dreams. You're going to love this, Charlie. In Egypt and in Greece.
Okay, so did you have stuff happen? How were you figuring out that it was your past life memories? Was there stuff that was being confirmed from the dream later in real life that you wouldn't have known, or what?
Okay, fun fact. So you know about my boyfriend Keith. I had a dream that I was in France and that I was doing poetry. But I was really depressed, and it was I was really poor and everything like that, right? And then a couple weeks ago, Keith actually had a dream that I was in a wedding dress, and he came up to me and then started singing a love song in French. And then with Keith is a weird one because Keith's not in. It's not that he's not into it. He is into it, but he's more like a secondhand. Whatever you tell me that I also experience, I'll tell you about, right? So it's when I had the dream about France, I didn't tell Keith anything about it. Then Keith woke up and then he told me, he was like, somebody came in my dream and then asked me if I wanted to see the truth about you. And I said, yes. And then they took me to France. And I'm like, oh shit. Well then.
Wow. Wow.
So that's been kind of confirming the fact. I feel like him and I shared that past life together. So I don't know exactly what's going on, but you know what I'm saying? The Greek and Egyptian ones, as a kid, it was simply just memories of walking down the street. It was shit like that. And there were pyramids in the background. And that was how you knew that you were in Egypt. In Greece, it was more so. Okay, so I was a Jehovah's Witness. We talked about that last episode, right?
Yeah.
And it was more so I could see the differences in people that were Greek and weren't Greek. Does that make sense? So, like I said, I just assumed that I was reading the Bible a lot back then, and I knew that the Jews were in Greece at some point in time. I don't know. It was just weird shit like that. So to say that I associated with a past life then, I didn't. Now that I'm kind of going into my past lives again, intentionally asking about past lives, I'm associating those dreams with what's happening now.
Okay, so it's kind of you were having a lot of dreams about it, and you're just now kind of piecing it together, oh, I think those were some past life memories.
Yeah, now that I'm doing the research, I'm starting to piece everything together, because when I was a witness, none of this meant anything. You know what I'm saying? So now that I'm doing the research, actively meditating to find out about these past lives, I'm like, oh shit. Was that what that was associated with? But I just never put it together.
So for you, with your, when you first had your past life memories, as a child, did they come with a heightened level of emotion? Because to me, when I first started having past life memories, it was I knew that it wasn't, me making up a memory, because the incredible amount of emotional charge that came with those memories, that you kind of recognized you've been carrying them this whole time. That's how it felt for me. Has it felt like that for you with your past life memories?
Okay, so as an adult, yes. As a child, no. So for a while there, I had really bad phobias of the end of the world. I carried it for a long time, even after I wasn't a witness anymore. Now, as a witness, they're constantly telling you, like, oh, the end is around the corner, the end is around the corner, to the point where, like, I didn't make any real investments in my early 20s because I was so convinced the world was going to end, right? Like, it just felt so real. Like, the notion of it felt so real to me. But I thought it was because of how I was raised, which to a certain degree it was, right?
Is
But
Jehovah
then
Witness like focus on the end of times a lot and stuff?
oh, most definitely. Like that's kind of how they keep you in line.
Okay.
But anyway,
Yeah, see, because it
so
wasn't a big part of Christianity.
oh
They didn't
yeah,
really
that's
talk about the
true.
future that much. So interesting.
And that's funny because it's like the future. I made no plans to. I've really only been planning my future as of like the past like 4 years because I didn't really. Anyway, let's not get carried away into that topic. We're gonna stay on topic. So, after getting rid of my doomsday fears, I kept having dreams of the end of the world, and it was funny because I know that it wasn't about this earth, right? At all. But it was funny because I would have these dreams of these wars. I would have dreams of my mom getting taken away. That one dream like mortified me. Like I woke up and I was like inconsolable. And it was like, but it was clear we weren't on Earth. Right. So it was like, but it was us though. That was the weird part. Like it was us. It just did not look earthly. And then there was one dream that I had where I had her on the phone, and then she said she had been convinced about some reality by some people, right? And she was going with these people that I didn't trust. And then she ended up going into like this cave with them, and then the call cut off, and I never saw my mom again. And I went over to the cave, like it was like with a cavalry of people. And I went over to the cave to find my mom, and then I saw her ghost instead. And it was like weird shit like that where it was really intense. But the highlight of the dream was that she had been convinced of something by some people. And they made her believe something. My mom's she's still a witness right now. I hope she never hears this. Anyways, she's still a witness right now, right? And it's like it's a point of contention in our relationship today. But it was so weird how in the dream it was like a similar storyline. It was still our bodies. Like, look at my mom today. But that had happened. And like the emotion was so, it woke me up. I was like mortified because at the end of the dream, I was like screaming at the top of my lungs outside of this cave. And then I woke up and I was like, nope, I'm good.
Well, that's so interesting. That's so interesting because I remember when I first met you, I didn't know like really anything about your mother or your relationship with her. And
Right?
I did like that past life reading of your chart. And I remember her being this big part of your chart and how she was convinced of something about you,
Mm-hmm.
to where there was like some unresolved karma between you and your mother. Um, so that's so interesting, like, that you have recovered some of those
Yeah, and it's
memories.
kind of scary a little bit because then like the fact that it's not the same degree in that dream, right? But the fact that it's still kind of similar right now, I'm like, this is I don't know how I feel about this shit.
But that is so, like, honestly, Nyanda, that is so normal because, like, when I'm giving people their, past life reading from the chart, and by the way, for my listeners, I can't see specific stuff, right? The astrology is an archetypal symbolic language. And so I can only give you the type of energy or the type of past life events or energies that you guys experienced. I can't tell you specific, dates and times and, exact manifestations, but I can see themes, right? And so when I start to describe people their themes from their past lives with their charts, like it's so funny because I'll be doing this for people that I don't know. Like I just met them that day. And then they'll stop me and be like, are you talking about my life now or my life then? Because
No, for real.
for real, like the past life karma, like I swear it comes back and it repeats itself. Right?
It's just
Like, it's like whatever
crazy.
happened to you in
It's
your past
like
life, it's gonna come back and somehow, cycle you through some of the same stuff again so that you're gonna make a different decision the next time or whatever it is that karma is trying to teach you. It's like repeating it because it knows that we forget stuff in between our lives.
it just all felt too real. It was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was really uncomfortable.
And do you ever wonder, like, well, you were saying that you're pretty sure that it is still like the exact same person, right? Like that your
Well,
mom now was your mom then?
I don't know if she was my mom then.
You
It
don't
was
know
just
yet.
I was referring to her as mom, so I don't know
Right.
if she was my mother or not, but in the reading you gave me, she was my mom, right? So it
Right.
was like, damn. It did feel like that kind of relationship though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing too that like I think is an interesting like thing to speculate on with past life memories is like the people that come back, because sometimes a theme comes back, but it's different people this time around. And other time it's the same people, but it's a different scenario. So it's so interesting the way that like karma and past lives seem to work out because it seems like you have repeating themes, but different people. And then in another sense, then you have the same people that are coming back because you have some unfinished business with them or some energetic bond with them, but it's a different situation. It's a different scenario. So that's really interesting too, right? Which
Right.
gets us into the whole like twin flame topic. Oh my God, we probably shouldn't even get into
Oh
that.
my god. I didn't drink enough. Hold
That's
on.
a whole that's a whole thing. Episode number 3, you guys.
Period. Thanks, babe. Oh my god.
Yeah. So how many lives do you think that you have recovered?
So I've recovered one in Egypt. Whatever that one with my mom was, okay, that's the one that I'm trying to get a hold of the most because that was in a place called Avalon. And I guess that I know it sounds crazy because that was associated with what's his name, like the story of King Arthur, and like essentially what had happened was when he gotten hurt, that they took him to Avalon and he was healed there, right? Well, apparently that's an actual either realm or place. I don't know anything about this. We've already discussed that. But that life I'm trying to retrieve because I feel like because okay, so can you confirm this? I heard that if you have a Pisces moon, or no, I read in one book. You're gonna be like, I
Okay.
don't know. It said that if you have a Pisces moon, that meant that you might have been like a monk or a nun or essentially isolated somewhere in some like strictly spiritual realm. Have you ever heard that?
Um, Pisces to me is not associated at all with isolation. It's all about unity and like um it's more about like the collective, but it is a very, very, very spiritual sign. And so it can indicate that you had a highly spiritually themed past life or past experience.
Okay, cool. So something of that nature, but not exactly that free. I don't even know. But the weird part, I saw that. And what I'm kind of figuring, because I can never find this specific storyline that I'm experiencing in this life in my past lives, or at least in the other ones, right? So it's like this one in Avalon, I'm trying to access, but other people have told me that I just don't know how to do that yet. We'll just say that.
When you're trying to retrieve your past lives, so you're meditating, are you like leading yourself through like a past life regression meditation? Is that how you do it?
So yes, I meditate, but you know what? I don't listen to guided meditations that much anymore. And that's probably what I need to do because typically what I do is I'll just set a timer and I'll meditate for a specific amount of time. So if I do one for like an hour, typically I'll have a vision of some sort. And I kind of just let them show me whatever it is that they want to show me. So I probably should be a little bit more concise.
I've had so many people ask me like how they should go about retrieving their past lives. And it's so hard to give somebody like a like paint by number, right?
Right.
Because like I started getting my past life memories, like the first one that I had, I think I told you about Nyanda, I was literally driving my car and I had like past life flashback and I had to pull over because I almost wrecked my car. So I
Mm-mm.
definitely didn't meditate for that one. Like
Damn.
I didn't try. It was just like bam, like I just had this flashback and this like, voiceover that was like telling me something, which is a little too personal to share on the podcast, but you get the
That's
idea.
kind
It
of
was
crazy.
just like bam out of the sky, like message from God, memory, bam, brought me to my knees, had to pull over. And I didn't even believe in past lives at the time. That was the crazy thing too, because it wasn't
Maybe that's
like,
why it was like that. It was like you have to
oh my
believe it.
gosh.
So let me make it super intense.
It was so intense because, like, I mean, I guess that's what spirit had to do to get my attention, I guess, because it was like I didn't even believe in past lives. It wasn't on my radar. I
What
wasn't
was it?
interested in it. Like, there wasn't anybody that was like talking to me about it. It wasn't popping up anywhere. It was just like I mean, it was such a foreign concept to me, and I thought it was kind of stupid, you know? And so then just to have this
Right.
just like bam in my face, you know?
Right.
So
No, I
I don't
actually
know.
have to ask my guides for shit. Like, I don't know. Okay, so if you ever talk to anybody like Stephanie, for example, right? Stephanie has heard my guides often enough to know how strict they are with me. If I don't ask or if I don't do, they won't even surprise me with anything. It's kind of annoying. Like they surprise me with enough. Now they're just kind of like, no, if you want to know anything, you have to actually do the work and actually meditate. So that's kind of how I feel like I get strong armed into meditation. Not that I
Yeah.
don't like meditating. I love meditating, but sometimes I'll ask questions and I'll just want to pull a reading on it and I don't get anything. Like I'll
Oh
even
my
see the
God.
cards
Yeah.
and I won't get anything. And I'll just be
Dude.
like, okay, fine.
Yeah. No, like, okay, so I will say, it's not like they've all been like that. I have had to, do some past life regression meditation. Like there was at a certain point, maybe like a year ago, where I was like, okay, I know that it's important for me to uncover my past lives. And so I went and I just like meditated daily and I uncovered like 10 of my past lives and I wrote them all down. And it was so funny because a lot of them weren't really relevant. I didn't really understand how they applied to my life until, like slowly over the last year, whatever it's been, like each and every one of them has become like pivotal information. Which is crazy, but I did have to work for those, you know?
You know what's funny? I was talking to my friend and I was essentially telling her that like regardless of whatever I tell you in this reading, so give me a reading. You can do whatever you want. They're just essentially telling you that these are the potential consequences, but don't feel like things are like black and white, like it's law, right? And that's
Yeah,
something that I really struggle with, especially when it comes to like past lives, because there are a lot of situations and people that will look at past lives and think like, oh, this means that I'm obligated to do A, B, and C, or that we're obligated to do A, B, and C if they happen to
right.
know about a particular connection, right? It's like
Uh,
it's important to stay balanced with it.
no, I think that's so important, especially with I know we're gonna do another podcast about twin flames, but especially when it comes to like people you've had past lives with and people thinking that because they had a past life with somebody, or they because especially if they had like a romantic connection with somebody in the past, that then they're destined and meant to have it with them in this life, right?
Right.
And it's
Right.
not necessarily, you know, like you said, you have free will and you can change the outcome of things. And like,
Things can definitely change. They can 100% change. And that's the biggest part, like when it comes to past lives, too. The crazy part is that when it comes to people that I'm encountering right now, except for my mom, I've never had like a past life dream with them. Um, and maybe it's because I'm still kind of early in the game, and I've been really busy lately, and I've not been meditating for that purpose as often as I've just been meditating for the sake of meditating, right? Um, I'm trying to practice detachment, but I'm trying to figure out what the common theme is with these because it's like every single dream that I have that are from past lives feels like the end of a civilization.
okay, so that brings me to like hypothetical question that I think our listeners might
Okay,
find
let's go.
interesting. I had a friend of mine bring this to my attention and I was like, I don't like this. My ego doesn't like this. Go away. I was a little bit PO'd, but it's this concept that we are all just from the collective and each and individual life is from the collective. Like, so say, imagine like we're all the same person. So like you are me in a past life, I'm you in a past life. Like we're all
Hmm.
each other. Like basically there's like one soul. And so then when you're recovering past lives, you're recovering, yes, they're your past lives because literally we're all the same person, but the lives that you are recovering are the ones that are still like have relevance to the life you're living now,
It's giving like video game character energy.
right?
I mean, hey, you know what? Everybody's free to believe whatever they believe. I don't personally believe that because I believe, although I do believe that we're part of like, excuse me, a collective consciousness. But I do feel like that. Well, first of all, okay, how about I not get into the reasons why I don't agree with that? But
Is it
because I was gonna
irritating
go.
you too?
Yeah, okay. So not you did say you were PO'd because I was just kind of like, what? But you know what's funny is that I did hear that from somebody, but it was because of one of the past lives from Egypt that I had, which is funny. Oh my God, that reminds me. Keith had that same vision in Egypt. But anyways, it was essentially she was turned off by the fact that I said I was royalty. I was
Oh,
like, yeah, it was giving like she thought I don't know, I think she thought I was being pompous or something like that. And I'm like, I mean, no, because I lost like it doesn't make sense. The story didn't end well. But it's just like that was when she said something similar to that. Was like, "Oh, do you think that we all have?" Because I've had dreams and stuff about being in Egypt and da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, no, I don't feel like that's the same thing. But I do believe there was a lot of people in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so
yeah.
you could have been
Yeah.
somebody, I could have been somebody, but we definitely weren't the same person. But
It was so funny because like what I was like, this conversation did not go the way that I thought it was gonna go. Because like I was telling this person basically how like one thing that was really cool when I was recovering past lives is I studied psychology in college, right? And so there's like this thing called having false memories is a real thing.
yeah.
And you can totally implant memories in somebody, and people will remember things based on their emotions. And so I
Mhm.
was like, that's where I feel like I got to be really careful with past lives, because like, what if like my mind is making up a story that is going to, allow for what I'm experiencing now to like make sense or whatever. So first of
Right.
all, I will say that even those false memories, if they're giving you closure or understanding of yourself, they're helpful, even if they're fake, right? But second of all, I think that in the majority of cases they're not fake, because so for me, when I was recovering past lives, it was kind of exciting because I was like, I really know nothing. Like, I really don't remember like like remember anything hardly from like world history. When I would have those past life memories, I would make sure to ask questions during the memory of like, okay, what year is it? Okay, what is my name? Okay, where am I in the world? Those kinds of questions. I had very detailed memory of it because basically what I wanted to do was like verify it to myself after the memory, right? So I'd like write down, okay, this is what I was wearing, this is who I was serving, this is what war we're fighting, this is who we're fighting for. Like, and I would just things like that. And then I'd like look it up later and be like, oh my gosh, like all of my memories were true. And then like, this is actually the type of clothing that they would have worn, and just like, so confirmed a lot of stuff. Like I even had like I found my late husband's death certificate, like not death certificate, but like death record from one of my more recent lives.
Oh
Which was like
wow.
crazy because like I recalled his name. And so then I knew where we were. And so I like looked up the record for that state, and they had it. And it was the same
That's
year. Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, like, so it's funny because I was all armed with this, like, ready to like defend the like legitimacy of past life memories, right?
Mhm.
And then he took it like this completely other way where he was just like, yeah, the past life memories are real, but we share them all. And I was like, that rubbed me the wrong way.
I love that. No, that's hilarious.
I was like, I'm sorry, I still have an ego. I am definitely attached to my experiences.
Okay, but you should be. I don't know.
Which brings me to the other thing that I wanted to like talk about, which was a little bit had to do with like the South Node and how the South Node pertains to past life
Yes.
memories. One thing that I really wanted to touch on was the whole connection, since I'm an astrologer, between like past lives and the South Node. So if you guys don't know what the South Node is the southern hemisphere node of the intersection between the sun and the moon. So the South Node in evolutionary astrology describes where you're coming from and what energy you're bringing with you from past lives. So that's a whole thing. And there's different ways that you can read it, such as like who is the planetary ruler of your South Node, et cetera, et cetera. Where is it placed? What is it aspecting? All these things are going to tell you more about your past lives. Okay, so you were talking about your friend got offended because you said you were royalty. Well,
Yeah, she was really upset.
I have a Leo South node, right? So like everybody who knows anything, who knows astrology looks at my chart and see a Leo South node, not to mention all of my other Leo placements. And they're like, oh, you must have been some big hot shot in your past lives, right? But
Mhm.
then I went to explain to you, it's like, well, yeah, but it's Leo in my sixth house, and that's the house of like servitude and devotion. So like, but I've never felt like I was in a big position of power because I was always like worshiping or obeying, the one above me type of situation. Like I was
That's
serving the
so
king,
crazy.
or I was serving my lord or whoever it was. So in my mind, like I identified more as a servant, yet I had a lot of power over like groups of people that were like below the person that I was serving. So interesting dynamic there. I think that's partly why a lot of people don't see me as a like a big, big Leo energy. Um, but you have Gemini South Node, and you said in your fourth
Yes.
house, yeah?
No, the eighth house.
The eighth house. Ooh, the eighth house. Oh, that makes
Yes.
sense. That makes more sense. Because for
Does
our
it?
listeners yes, no, because for our listeners who don't know what the eighth house is about, the eighth house is about death and transformation. It's originally like the Scorpio
Oh my
house,
god.
traditional zodiac real. Yeah. So it's seriously, it's about like, this is the tower card, this is the death card, this is like this is civilization's crumbling, right? This is completely the energy of the eighth house. I mean, it also has to do with shared resources. So if you have like past lives that really have to do with like fighting over resources or, like disagreements between like you and people you were in relationships with about, power dynamics, or like, money or, land or like whatever the resources were during the lifetime that you were living. Yes. It's like powerful of shared resources. That's also eighth house stuff. So it's interesting because you've had a bunch of past life memories about civilizations ending.
But yes, all of those things that you just named are relevant in this lifetime too. And
Okay.
that's why I was like, yeah, not only the end of civilizations, yeah, but the whole fighting over resources shit, yeah, presently, yes. Yo, I find myself when it comes to past lives too. Do you find yourself, okay, maybe I just go down the rabbit hole. We talk about the Sagittarius North Node a lot, and I feel like when we're talking about like me nose diving into like spiritual topics and like getting totally lost and forgetting I'm in reality, I think that's part of my issue. But anyways,
But you're South Node Gemini. So
yes.
like let's talk about that as it pertains to your past life experiences.
Okay,
I
let's
mean,
go.
like so Gemini it's a mutable air sign. So, like Gemini kind of has the energy of, being all over the place, but also being really fast at picking stuff up. So being like quick minded and being able to make connections really fast. So Gemini's it's the sign of language. And I know one thing you've told me about your past lives is just being
Mm-hmm.
able to like pick up. It's something that you still have from your past lives because you've spoken so many different languages in your past lives that you pick up language real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So my
Like
second language, oh, sorry,
how
what'd you
many
say?
languages can you speak right now?
Fluently, I would probably claim three. I speak Spanish, English, and Hindi. Now, can I get by in more than that? Yes, and that's because, and we talk about like, the Gemini being all over the place, and essentially kind of being able to pick up information really quickly, so you dip out. There's a lot of languages that I can get by in because I got a brief interest in them, right? And then in that brief interest or obsession, I started studying the language, like Italian, for example. I can help my boyfriend with his Italian because not only because it's close to Spanish, but because I was convinced I was going to marry an Italian man, right? I was like, at 25, I'm going to be married to an Italian man. I wasn't married to one, but I was living with one. So he didn't speak Italian though. But when I was 19, I said that, right? So I
Wow.
started studying Italian, but I didn't actually study it. I just started picking it up, studying it, listening to music, watching different movies in it. And essentially, just by doing that, I could find friends online that were in Italy and start practicing the Italian that I studied for a few weeks with them, and then essentially sharpening it that way. Yo,
Yeah,
that's
that's
how I
amazing.
functioned.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing too about South Node Gemini is music. And
Yes.
you obviously have come into this life. Like I love it watching your readings. You guys, if you haven't subscribed to Nyanda's YouTube channel yet, you definitely got to do it. The Sirian Siren. She does a lot of like psychic tarot readings. And one thing that I love about your readings, Nyanda, is that a lot of the time when you're doing a reading, there's like a song that will come to you, and you'll start hearing like song lyrics in your head, and you'll be like, you guys go check out this song, this is the song that I'm getting for your, whatever the reading is, and you'll apply it. And I love that. And this is just so Gemini South Node, like to me, because it's like, oh, you're a musician. Of course you're a musician. Like Gemini is like the number one sign for musicians, like next to probably Aquarius, Gemini and Aquarius. Those are the
Yeah.
musician signs for me that I've seen.
That is so fucking funny because when people tell me, they're like, oh, I was listening to that this week, I'm like, weird. It's just weird that they were listening to that song or that they were singing that song. Like my friend, of course, my best friend, right? I don't remember what I was singing. I think it was Here by Alessia Carr. And she was like, girl, I was singing that this morning. And I'm like, oh, but it happens to me too. Yeah, it's weird. Or it'll be songs that I don't even know the words to. I'll just be hearing it. Excuse me, and then I'll have to pause the reading and then go look up the lyrics, and the lyrics will say what it was about, and I'm like, oh shit, that's what the storyline is. Just
That's
from those lyrics, I
wow.
can put everything together.
I love that. Like, so have you had any past life memories that involved music? Like being a
Not
musician in the
yet.
past? No?
Not yet, but when you want to know a weird thing I did when I was a witness, which I guess it was just like really intense visualization. But in my visualizations, I could see myself performing, but it wasn't like a past life. It was like whatever I had visualized for myself, that's what I would
Mhm.
see. But no past lives. I've seen myself as a poet.
Okay.
I've seen myself as a poet, and that's all that I've really seen in that kind of line of work.
Yeah.
But no music. Just a lot of end of worlds. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, like yeah. Poets, writers. I've definitely like seen that for which is interesting. Gemini rising. Because their 10th house is Gemini, or not Gemini rising, sorry, Virgo rising, because their Gemini is their 10th house. A lot of like Virgo rising people are like, they're in language for their job. Like
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of them are like coders, right? So like it's like kind of like a modern application, like software engineers and coders. So they're learning like
Mm.
computer languages. But I have seen like poets and like straight up writers, like they publish books or they're like editors. Like I dated a girl who was a Virgo rising, and she worked for like a publishing house. She was an editor. She was always correcting my grammar. Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
god, that was driving me nuts.
Yeah, it drove me crazy. It was like me and my little Leo self getting all bent out of shape. Like, don't tell me. Don't be disrespectful.
That is so funny. I love these little facts that you know. That's why you've inspired me to pick my astrology books back up. For how long? I don't know, but I've definitely been inspired.
Well, I better watch out, because as soon as you pick up those astrology books with your little Gemini South Node, you're going to be like outpacing me. You'll be like, yeah, I've been studying astrology for like 2 weeks now, and I'm going to teach a course.
No, not even because I don't. Okay, but I don't know if it's my other placements. You know better than I would. But if I don't feel like educated enough on a topic, I'll just try not to talk about it at all. Oh, you know what? Keith had a dream. I don't know if it was a past life though. He just had a dream. Never mind. We're not going to go into parallel universes because I was going to ask you what you think about that, but that's not what we're doing right now.
Oh God. My mind explodes when I think about that stuff. But like, it's funny that you got in your past lives in dream form, because I've literally never had a past life dream.
No,
No. I mean, I
it's
get psychic
torture.
dreams, I get psychic dreams,
Yeah.
but not past life. I've never had a past life dream.
My
Um,
dreams are really important. That's why I probably should cool out on the edibles for a little bit.
yeah. No, okay, so off topic, I might edit this out, but like so funny because I have been getting, dreams every night. And then like as of like a week ago, I'm mostly vegetarian. I think, aren't you mostly vegetarian too or something like that? Like you eat meat sometimes? I can't remember.
I used to actually. I need to get back into that. Normally around this time of year, I do cut out my meat. But what's messed up is that my allies have been telling me that everything will get much clearer for me when I leave meat out, and it's getting
Oh
to the
yeah.
point now where meat's starting to make me sick. Which I'm really not wanting to chalk that up to them because I would be really upset. But my body's not processing meat like it used to.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so funny because like I eat meat probably like once a month. Okay.
Mhm.
But like, and that has never been a problem. But then like on like Monday, like a week ago, right? Because today's Monday. No, today's Sunday. So anyway, almost a week ago. Or actually, I think it was Sunday. Anyway, so a week ago I had meat, and it was funny because I just had a little piece of it, and my body was like, "Oh yeah. We need that. We need that." Right?
For real?
And I was like, "Okay." Like I'm trying to listen to my body, And so I'm like, "Okay,
Right.
sometimes." And I have gone where like sometimes, if your vegan balance is out of if your vegan diet is out of balance for too long, sometimes the best thing to do is to eat some meat. So I was like, all right. So the next day I was like, Jonathan, can you go to the store and get a rotisserie chicken?
Mm-hmm.
And so he did, because like I don't want to deal, since I don't cook with meat and I
Right.
haven't in years, I'm like, ew, I don't want to deal with raw meat anymore.
Yeah,
But
of
I also
course.
didn't want to eat out. So I was like, just go get a rotisserie chicken. They're already cooked. They're good. So he went and got a rotisserie chicken, brought it home. And so then we have a whole ass chicken. Well, that's way more meat than we usually eat. So I was eating meat, like I ate meat like Monday, like for lunch and then for dinner. And then I ate meat Tuesday for lunch and then for dinner. I kid you not, my dreams disappeared
Are you
completely,
serious?
completely. And I'd been having like increasingly psychic, meaningful dreams every night. And then it was like immediately. So for 3 days, I had no dreams. And I was like, I'm pretty sure
Charlie.
that it's this meat. So I stopped
Now I
eating it.
have
Now my dreams came
to.
back. My dreams came back.
Yeah. Okay,
And
so
I
when you were
like I know, and
talking,
I never had a conversation with my spirit allies about it because I didn't need to. I was like, I know what this is.
dude, I'm not even kidding you. When you were talking about it, I got like a massive chill down my spine. I'm like, all right, don't be obnoxious.
Yeah, I know. And I do hear people say that about weed. I don't smoke weed regular, so it always surprises me when people say that because like to me, like I've had a couple like really cool like spiritual experiences when I was high. So I'm like, oh, whoa, that's kind of weird that it's like inhibiting people's psychic ability. But I feel like maybe it's if you just do it regular. Kind of like, like it's okay if I eat meat every once in a while, but if I'm like chowing down on it all of a sudden, you know? There's some
No, but yeah,
substances that are just like they're denser, right? Or they're
yeah.
heavier. Yeah.
It definitely messes up your melatonin or something like that. It was like essentially it I don't know, but like I was saying before I cut out, I'm like, yeah, maybe just everything in life should be balanced or something like that. I don't know. I'm
Uh,
just no,
well,
but I've been kind of pushed to go vegetarian, and now I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, all right, I'm stubborn though. Like that's the reason why I get smacked in the head with stuff. It's just because I don't listen. I don't like being told what to do in any way, shape, or form.
all right. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. And Nyanda, thank you so much for joining us again so we can talk about past lives. There's so much more I know that we could talk about with our past lives, but I'm sure it'll come up in our next episode, which is going to be about what did we say? What did we say?
Is it twin flames?
Um, what?
Is it twin flames?
Twin flames. Yes. The next podcast with Nyanda definitely has to be about twin flames, you guys.
Oh
And
my
so
god.
there will be more past life stuff. So don't you worry if this like left you a little bit hungry. That's a good thing. Just tune in next time. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night.
Yes.